Hi, good day. My name is Jax and welcome to Bellucci Studios TikTok. If you are new to the channel, please do consider subscribing to the channel. It's absolutely free. And if you do enjoy this video, please do consider hitting the like button on the video. And again, there's no obligation from my side or from your side. If you do enjoy this video, please do consider subscribing to the channel. It really will help me out quite a bit. In today's TikTok, we are going to be looking at this, the 6th generation iPad mini. And it's something for many years I've been considering whether or not I should pull the trigger on an iPad, and finally Apple has released something that I can get behind as far as the line of iPads are concerned. The iPad Pro, really great device. There's just one little problem, and that is this guy, the Apple Pencil. If you pair this with the iPad Pro, then the price just is way beyond my budget, and then I start considering whether I should get the MacBook Pro or the MacBook Air. The iPad Air 4th generation, brilliant. It had everything that I wanted, but again, the price before the Apple Pencil was fine. But when you consider the Apple Pencil, then it's a no-go for me. Also, the storage as well. So the base model with the Apple Pencil kind of like just gets beyond my budget, but it was still kind of doable. But then when I considered the ways in which I want to use the iPad, I thought to myself, no, it's not going to work, because then we're getting into iPad Pro territory. However, when they released the iPad mini, it came at, well, firstly, the size is just right. And then secondly, when you start looking at pairing this bad boy, whether with the 64 gig or the 256 gigabyte one, then gigabyte storage, then the iPad mini becomes very attractive. It becomes something that I can afford. It falls within my budget, and yeah, there's many other things that I want to do, and I don't want to take too much away from that in order to cater for something like this. So when Apple released the 6th generation iPad mini, then I was like, this is something that I can definitely get behind. So first of all, where does this fit in all of my tech situation? I've got so you might also be in the same situation. You have a cell phone, and the cell phone kind of allows you to do everything that you can do on here, you can do on your cell phone. If you, like me, if you have the iPhone 12, you have a pretty powerful iPhone that can do just about everything that you can do on the iPad mini. The problem with the iPhone 12 or the iPhone 13, if you are one of those fortunate ones who upgraded to that, the problem with that is that the screen is, for me at least, the screen was too small. The problem with my MacBook Pro is that, and that's 2015 model, the problem with that one is that the screen is a little bit too big, and so if I need to go and do stuff, you've got to take the charger with you. You can't just open it up anyway. You need to be very careful about how you handle that. However, with this thing, I can sit with it in bed. It sits on my bedside table. I just take it off of the bedside table and do whatever I need to do. If I need to be researching videos like this particular one, it's something that's very quick and easy that I can do. Most of the script was actually written while I was in bed. I sat up one night and I just wrote the whole thing out, compiled all of my thoughts, and most of it was essentially done while I was in bed. And then transferring to the couch, you just sit down, pull it out. You don't have to worry too much about too many little things. So that's the thing that I like about the iPads, is that they are quite portable. The thing that I like about this one is that its size makes it almost as portable as my cell phone. The only thing is that this can't fit in my pockets, right? And also this isn't waterproof, so it can't go everywhere where my cell phone can. All right, so that's the thing. That's why I needed an iPad, because there's times when you're tired and you just don't have I just don't have the capacity to pull out my laptop and start working on whatever I need to. So if I can just pull this thing out, perfect. And that's where this fits in for me. Something that is bigger than a cell phone, smaller than a laptop, and that I can take just about anywhere and throughout the house. If I leave the house, whatever, you can carry it along with you. So that's the thing that I like about the iPads. Ultra portable. Not as portable as a cell phone, but it does the job. So the thing about the iPad mini that you need to take into consideration is that it is rather small. So if you are looking for something that's more of a desktop laptop replacement, then this isn't going to be that. For that you would want to get either the iPad Air or the iPad Pro. The one thing about the one thing about this that really also sealed the deal for me with this particular iPad Mini is that it had the USB-C connector, which I will talk about a little bit later on. So again, this is something that you can take with you anywhere. You can, it's very portable, very easy to work with. If you are familiar with an A5 notepad, this is smaller than that. So if that kind of fits if that fits the bill for you, then this is definitely something that you should consider. And as I mentioned, that the screen on this is is small. So as a result of that, the multitasking feature on iPad OS 15 therefore will be, it's a bit of a moot point on this, because the screen does become quite small and at times it becomes unusable with the multitasking feature. So although it's nice and although you can use it, it's not as usable as it would be on a bigger display. Something that does work exceptionally well on this is the Touch ID, which is the also doubles up as the on-off switch for this device, or lock and unlock. So the Touch ID works really well. The previous iPhone that I had was the iPhone 8, and on that thing the Touch ID it kind of worked 50% of the time. On this thing I've had it work about as much as, I would say, maybe 95% of the time. There are times when it doesn't work, but that's more because of user error than the fact that Touch ID itself is not working as expected. Then there is the Jellygate issue. What is the Jellygate issue? That is the jelly scrolling issue. Like you had Watergate in the US. Yeah, I call this Jellygate. I will talk about the Jellygate issue later on. So aside from that jelly scrolling situation that we have on the iPad mini, aside from that, this thing it's pretty good. It's pretty good. So as I mentioned, I do have the iPhone 12, and I don't know if I mentioned it earlier on, but there are times when I will compare the iPhone 12 to this where it's applicable. It's not really a fair comparison, but I don't have a previous iPad that I could really compare this with. So the iPhone 12 that I have has the OLED display, and this has an LCD display, or the liquid retina display. And as far as I can tell, there isn't really that much of a difference between the liquid retina display of the iPad mini and the iPhone 12. So the OLED display on the iPhone 12 works really well. It's, with regards to the dark and the bright areas, it has a nice degree of being able to show you the really dark blacks and the really bright areas in the same image. So with regards to the liquid retina display on the iPad mini, I found that there isn't really that much of a difference. And something that I've noticed with Apple products is that the displays generally are of a very, very, very high quality. I know that I prefer working on my Apple stuff as I do to my Windows. I know this is a 24-inch, not 24, 20, yeah, 24-inch ultra-wide screen that I have on my Windows desktop, and that display is not as rich, as bright. The light and the dark areas are not represented as well as they are on the iPad mini. So it really, with regards to the displays, the OLED displays and the LCD displays on the Apple products, I always struggle to really see the differences. There are differences if you want to get really technical, but if you're just watching something or working on it, you can't really tell just by looking at it. You'd have to get into the technical specifications to see what the differences are. So with regards to the displays, the display on the iPad mini, it is really really good. I was surprised by just how good it is. I've watched film or movies, Netflix on there, and I've watched Netflix on here, and honestly, I struggle to tell the difference. Maybe someone with better eyes, maybe these glasses have damaged my ability to adequately get into yeah, you know what I'm saying. So with regards to gameplay on the iPad mini, I find that it's okay. I've got Need for Speed on my iPhone as well as on this device, and I find that the only reason why I prefer playing on the iPhone is that the device itself is smaller and easier to hold. When you're holding this thing and you're trying to play a game, it's difficult. The thing is quite big and heavy compared to the cell phone. So if you do want to play games on this, I would recommend getting a game controller. The graphics on here, as I mentioned, is pretty darn good. The other thing that I've seen quite a few YouTubers complain about is the size of the bezels on this device. And I find I've got, these hands are not big, thick, uh, fat fingers. I've got very dainty kind of hands, and I've had many people tell me that. And I find that for me, these bezels are they're just big enough so that I can hold the screen comfortably without my fingers interfering with the screen, with the function of the screen as I'm holding the screen. So, for people that have been complaining about the size of the bezels on this, yes, the bezels could be smaller, but I think that it's the right size to be able to just hold the device either with one-handed operation or two-handed operation without interfering with the display itself. So let's talk a little bit about the user interface on this device. Yes, the icons are a little bit on the small side. So that does mean that if you have nice thin dainty fingers like mine, then everything on this device is quite easy. Well, it's generally speaking easy to operate. If you do have thicker, bigger fingers than mine, then this device will maybe be a problem. But there is a solution for that. It is quite an expensive solution. Bam! There it is. You can use this to just, if your fingers do struggle to hit the right buttons and, to work the device, then getting a stylus or the Apple Pencil will be a workaround for that. Or alternatively, try out the bigger iPads. With regards to the handwriting recognition on the iPad, I find that it actually does work quite well. I've also found that my handwriting does appear to be a whole lot nicer on this device than it is in the analog world. And yes, my handwriting is not that is not that great. I've also found that the Apple Pencil, is quite responsive when writing on the display. Talking about the Apple Pencil, I've had many people. If you go on YouTube, you'll find that many reviewers say that you do need a screen protector like Paperlight in order to be able to write on the screen. But I've actually found that I don't have anything on the display. I don't have Paperlight. I don't have a screen protector, and I found that being able to write on the display without something like Paperlight, that it does actually feel quite normal and natural. I suppose it could be better if I get something like Paperlike, but that's for another time. But it does, yes, the screen is smooth, and yes, if you aren't careful, your writing will be, you can kind of slip all over the place with the pencil. But I found that with a reasonable degree of control, that you can write quite normally and naturally on here without something like Paperlike. So right out of the box, it's pretty good for writing on the screen. And the Apple Pencil, at least, that's the only stylus that I have used. The Apple Pencil does work quite well on the screen. There is enough friction so that the pencil doesn't slip and slide all over the place. Pairing your Apple Pencil to the iPad mini is fairly seamless and fairly easy. You can either, just attach it like that, or you can attach it in the other direction. Either way, it connects pairs to the device, and then it also charges. So the magnetic connector that we have on here is, it's definitely a step up from the previous generation pencil, which I believe you had to stick in the bottom of the iPad, which I don't know what Apple was thinking with that one. Writing on the display does require a little practice. It does require some practice, because when I first started writing on this thing, I was writing like, it takes, you need to get used to the amount of space that you have, and then also the feeling of writing on it's the same like writing on a chalkboard, something similar to that effect. Something that I have found that is maybe lacking on here is that I found that one thing that I wish that they had was that there was the ability to go through a number of different color pens or different kinds of pens. So if you want to use a pencil and a highlighter, or a pen and a highlighter, to be able to more easily go through that. And yes, there is the ability to do that, but then once you select that, then you can't select the eraser quite easily. Then you've got to go into the settings and change that. So I wish that there was a easier way of being able to do that with the Apple Pencil, because this thing is not cheap. This thing is not cheap by any standards, and I feel like they could maybe have had just thought of doing a few more things with regards to the integration of the Apple Pencil to especially built-in apps like Notes. But overall, I mean, aside from that one little thing, there's a few other things with regards to the browsers, but there are small issues. Aside from that, I find that I actually have quite enjoyed using the Apple Pencil with the iPad mini. And then also, something that I have found is that my handwriting does appear much better on this than it does in the analog world. So well done to Apple for that. With regards to the camera system on the mini, I have never been, well, there was a time that I was going through that phase of being a professional photographer, and that was something that I really tried to get into. And as a result, I managed to get the Nikon D750. So for me, as a DSLR user, I prefer, if I'm going to be taking serious photographs, then I prefer using either a DSLR. I prefer using actually a dedicated camera, because the larger sensor on there it just creates better photographs overall. Whereas if you try to use this for professional photography or to get really high quality images, then you will find that you do need a lot of light, or you need to really control the quality of the light that you are going to be shooting in. Because if not, I mean, I found that in indoors, trying to take photos with this, either with the front facing camera or the rear facing camera, that it very quickly got to the point where it started falling off. And that is not a failing of the mini, it's just a thing with the camera system on here, and with most cell phones and tablets. So I would say that for candid photography, it's absolutely fine. If you are in a situation where there's a lot of light, then it's going to be fine. But if you are in a situation where there isn't a lot of naturally occurring light, then you would have to bring your own light, get either another light source or bring a dedicated camera light or video light or something of that nature. So for what they have stated that you can do with the thing, yes, you can take all of those photos, but it needs to be in really well lit conditions. And then center stage, I haven't really used it a lot, but to the extent that I have used it, I find that it does work as advertised. It is a nice feature, and I figure that if you are in a situation that calls for that, then it is definitely a very nice to have. Something that I did find though that did blow me away 100% was the sound quality of this device. The sound quality is nothing like what I was expecting at all. And with regards to the low frequency and the low and the mid frequencies, which is something that portable devices generally tend to struggle with, I found that the sound quality on this is absolutely phenomenal. I was really blown away by it. The stereo imaging also is also quite good. You can tell when something is happening on the left side and when it's happening on the right side. And also the bass reproduction is also quite good on this device. With regards to Wi-Fi, the Wi-Fi 6 system that is on here, I have a Wi-Fi 6 router, and I find that it works exceptionally well with that router. As has been the case for me with all of my Apple products, I found that I've never really had an issue with Wi-Fi and using any Apple products on a Wi-Fi system. And if there are any bottlenecks, it usually comes down to the Wi-Fi router itself. So on that score, I couldn't say that this is better. I could just say that it's the same normal high quality Wi-Fi that you expect from Apple. Then I think the pièce de résistance on this device is USB-C, and that sealed the deal for me on this device, along with the price, along with, I wish that there was 128 gigabyte option. This is the 256 gigabyte option, as I might have mentioned earlier on. So the size of the device, the fact that it has USB-C, and the cost, those three factors together really just sealed the deal for me. So what that means is that if you do buy a dock for this device, which is something that I will be doing in the future, that you can use that same dock on another computer, whether that be a desktop or a laptop, provided that it has the correct connections. So that is something that has me quite excited about this, and I look forward to seeing what app developers and also third-party devices, what they are, how those will integrate with the iPad Mini and all the other iPad devices that support USB-C. So for me, this is something that is quite important, because if you just have, like with all of the other iPads that use the Lightning connector, it doesn't make sense to have one peripheral that only works with this particular thing. If you have something that works with more devices, then good for you. So on that score as well done, Apple. All right, let's talk about that jelly scrolling situation. So this is portrait, this is landscape orientation. When you use this device like this and you're scrolling up and down, that is when you will notice the jelly scrolling issue. That is when Jellygate it becomes very, very obvious. When you hold it in the landscape orientation, then it scrolls the same way that any other LCD does. So how big of an issue is this? Well, the only thing, to the extent that you do see it, the thing that you will notice is that if you're scrolling up, the text tends to kind of point down at an angle like that, and then it straightens out. And when you scroll down, then it goes down in the other direction. So is it a big thing? Is it serious enough that I would say that this device is rubbish and therefore I should send it back and I want my money back. No, it's just as annoying as when you scroll on any other device and you're scrolling really quickly. You can't really scroll while you read. You kind of just kind of keep track of more or less what's happening, and then you stop and you see exactly what you want to, and then it functions normally. So how big of an issue is it? I think it's a minor thing. It's not the end of the world. You can get around it. One way to really get around it, if you really want to get around it, is scroll very slowly. Very slowly. And then you won't see it. Problem solved. Yeah, just subscribe to the channel and you can that's how you can thank me. Thank you very much. So with regards to the rest of the the UI experience on this device, as I mentioned, this is a small device, and because the screen is small, you therefore can't expect a whole lot from the display itself, especially with regards to multitasking. If you are going to be writing on this thing, you need to realize that your real estate is going to be very, very limited, and you kind of need to be okay with that. Now those are kind of small issues. Again, if you have thick fingers, then get a pencil or get a bigger iPad. Then there are some serious issues, and I think that this is probably going to be things that you will experience right across the range. If you write in a browser, the web address, like www.focuswrite.whatever, one thing that I have found is that it's very difficult to fix a mistake. So for instance, if with Focuswrite is spelled FOCUSRIT.com. That's focuswrite.com. That's the website. When you write that into the browser, it corrects the spelling for you. It's like, oh wait, it's Focuswrite with a dash between the S and the R, which isn't right. When that happens, it's very difficult to change that. And I wish that what Apple would do is within this ecosystem, within the iPad OS, that if you are writing things and they do want to change the spelling, I wish that there was a way in which you could choose which spelling you want, either your original spelling or what they are offering, especially when you are in browser mode, or if any situation where your handwriting is going to be changed to typewritten text. So yeah, another thing is, if your handwriting is really bad, or if you you just kind of lose the plot with your handwriting, then the handwriting recognition just falls apart, and that's to be expected. Not really a big thing. All right, then there are some really glaring things, and this is some of the issues that I picked up in Notes itself, which is one of the Apple software packages. Overall, how do I feel about the 6th generation iPad mini? I think that it is a brilliant device. It really is. For the size, if you need something bigger, then this clearly is not for you. However, if you are looking for something that is really portable, that you can just easily put in a bag and go and do it and work with it just about wherever, then this device is really good. I'm really happy with it. I've also found that I haven't really opened up my MacBook Pro, and my girlfriend has she's been able to use that thing without me interrupting her at all. So to some extent, yes, this can be used as a replacement for the basic things that you need to do. I don't have to switch on my desktop machine. I don't have to go look at the laptop to do certain things, and there's a lot of things that I don't want to have to do that for, and that is where the iPad mini just fits in perfectly for that kind of thing, which hopefully means that I will be able to create more videos as I will have more time to do the kind of research that I want. Hopefully that's how things work out. Okay guys, thank you so much for sticking with me to the end. If you are still around, any of you still there? Okay, if you are still there, please do consider subscribing to my channel. I really would appreciate that, and do give this video a thumbs up if you have enjoyed it. If you didn't enjoy it, leave a comment, tell me sub bro, some things you need to fix, some things you need to do different. I'm open to correction. I'm open to any of that kind of advice. If you want to troll me, please feel free to do so, and I also will feel free to ignore you if you do intend on trolling me. And if you do go and watch some of my previous videos, you'll see how I deal with trolls. I don't appreciate being trolled, so let's keep it respectful, and yeah, let's enjoy each other's company. Thank you so much, guys, for watching, and I will catch you on the next one. Adios.